Welcome back to Stupid Things Sheldon Said. This time about his stupid dribble on Christmas. First off, he said that Iesus, and that's how we say. You don't say Jesus because that's not an J, that's an Y. It's a mistake from German actually, where they use J for Y in some cases and so on. And also the H is generally silent, but the English people still pronounce it, American actually. So again, another problem. Okay, so he says that Jesus' birthday is in summer. Based on what? Based on nothing. There was one theory like this floating around that was of course disproved completely. But of course people that are scientists keep to their theories even though they are disproved. Basically you have two dates, one on the old style basically on 7 January and one on the new style on 25 of December. Why you have two dates? Because as you know, the year is not the earlier way to measure the year caused some problems, and you had to have a readjustment. Now we have once every 4 years, for instance, a year with 1 day extra, and there are a lot of readjustment because they are not perfectly 365 days. They're 365 days and a bit. Okay, so due to this there was a difference that was caused, and that's the first thing. The other thing, it's the whole thing about the Christmas tree. Now to put it simply, if a local custom, even if it had pagan origins, didn't go against Christian doctrine or customs or whatever, the people were allowed to keep it. An example of local custom that goes against local doctrine, but for some reason the Catholics keep it, is the Valentine's Day. Another example which is so-so, I mean it's debatable, but I think it should not be kept, is Halloween. Another example with Day of the Dead, of course, as they celebrate it in Mexico, or Mexico, as they say it correctly. So on the other hand, the Christmas tree is not really something that goes against anything, and it in some way was adapted to the Christmas tradition in various ways. First off, you have the star that is on top of the tree that symbolizes the stars in Bethlehem. You didn't have this generally in the pagan world. You have all the decorations that are generally related to the birth of Christ, and the Christmas presents are also related to the birth of Christ, but also related to a saint called Saint Nicholas, which is also celebrated on 6th of December. Now I'm going to explain both of them. How is this related to the birth of Christ? Well, when Christ was born, yeah, the three Magi brought gifts: gold, incense, and frankincense to the child. And that's why at Christmas we give gifts to children. Yes, in model range you can give to anyone, but the idea was to give it to children. Now, Saint Nicholas also has custom of giving gifts, which was kind of combined with the Christmas tradition, becoming Santa Claus. Of course, there are other traditions for Santa Claus, but I think this is the most commonly accepted. Basically, he saved 3 young girls, basically something about they're probably something 16, 18, from becoming prostitutes because they were in a very bad situation, and provided with the money for them to be able to get married. And as a result, they escaped this issue. It's one of the things that this saint did, for which he's very celebrated in a lot of places. He was also a healer that resurrected a number of people that were killed by robbers, including some kids, if I remember correctly. Okay, so these are, yes, there were some pagan customs that were adopted, but doesn't mean that it's not now related to Christmas, because we added things on top of it and we removed a lot of it. For instance, in the Norse pagan custom, the one that would come would be Odin, and if the children, you first of all you have to give an offering for its horse and for him, so that he would not do bad things to you and your family. The second thing would be that he was used as a way to scare off children. Here's where the whole naughty or nice bullshit thing comes from, actually, which I don't agree with. I mean, yeah, if you don't behave, not getting presents is something okay. Considering your parents are the ones doing this, and yeah, it can be a problem, but this whole thing of knowing Santa, knowing that you're not actually, when I grew up, Santa didn't know who's naughty or nice, who's sleeping or not, stuff like that. The parents were actually telling Santa, oh look, my kid wasn't nice, don't bring him presents. So it was more realistic. This whole thing with Santa knowing, it comes again from Woden, who, if the child would not behave, would kidnap the child and either kill him or transform it into an elf. Have you wondered where Santa's elves come from? Well, they are misbehaving children which are forced to labor in its factories. And it's basically relates to the truth at the time, because if you weren't behaving, the parents could sell you off to someone, or that would put you to very hard work, or could send you, even if they wouldn't sell you up, to send you to learn a job that where you'd probably be very abused. You wouldn't basically you will start learning the job much earlier than normal. You would be treated much worse, and the kind of job would be a lower paying and lower class kind of job. So yeah, it reflects reality at the time, like just like in some time I think 1980s, there was a thing like, oh, if you don't study or you're not nice, I'm going to send you to military school because you're not going to accomplish anything otherwise. So that would be one thing. Well, one moment, I'll continue a bit. Okay, so another thing that comes from the Norse tradition, which it's more common in the West, not here. Basically, in our area, just there's actually no, oh, Santa, it's the one that brings you the presents and stuff like that. Generally, the parents tell you, oh, okay, Santa gave me your presents, I'm putting it here, don't open it until the next day, stuff like that. They don't actually many times bother with the whole thing. But in the West, this whole thing that, oh, you have to go to sleep, otherwise Santa will do this and this to you, and you will not get no presents. That's the whole it's stupid, but again, it's part of the Norse tradition. Basically, in the Norse tradition, Woden would be really upset if someone would see him as he visited the houses, and would punish the people that would do this, be it adults or children. And of course, there were a lot of monsters associated and stuff like that. So the thing is more complicated. But of course, we didn't kept all these things in the tradition, at least not in the area I am from. Maybe they did in America and other German-loving countries, but not here. That's all.